So this is day 1 and 2 of my trip to Scotland, but I know what you're thinking. London isn't in Scotland. That's right. So in planning my trip to Scotland, since I was going to be going through London anyway, I thought rather than do a quick stopover and switch planes, I would stay a while, just a couple days in London, and meet up with a friend, Jason Whisky Wise. But there's another thing I got to point out, which is when you're flying from San Francisco to London, it doesn't go straight across the map. Rather, you fly up and over Canada, Greenland, actually pass over Ireland, and then Scotland, and then finally drop into London. Because my mind was so focused on planning my trip to Scotland, I really hadn't planned a whole lot going to London, other than I just wanted to meet up with Jason. But Jason really went above and beyond the call of duty, acting as a really great tour guide around the famous sights of London, showing me a couple of his favorite haunts, starting with the Whiskey Exchange. Now, if you're a real big fan of Scotch whiskey, or any whiskey, you've probably heard of the Whiskey Exchange, but it is something that has got to be seen to believed. It is enormous. So if you're ever in London, you've got to stop in and check this place out. They have a lot of really hard to find whiskeys, a really hospitable and knowledgeable staff, and you'll feel like a kid in a candy store. But as great as that was, it doesn't compare to Jason's favorite hangout, which is Milroys of Soho, which he so kindly invited me in to meet his friends and comrades at this small, tiny little hole-in-the-wall haunt that is just packed full of not only whiskey, but hospitality.
How many episodes do I have to get through?
Hey, I don't know if you can hear me. This is Erik. We're at Milroy's in London. This is Jason Fisk. You may see his name up on the discussion board.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Wicked, dude. That's the other Jason.
You might recognize this guy. This is what was your name again?
Mr. Bananas?
Oh yeah. This is Mr. Bananas. This is Mr. Bananas. And this is what we're drinking tonight. All this stuff over here. Drinking all this. There's the crew back there. I don't know if you can hear me or not. So we were intending to do a video. Couldn't go live. We've been very, very, very busy.
Been exploring the whole of London.
Yes. And drinking whiskeys here and there, but having a really good time. I'll tell you all about it later.
And we'll give everyone a lowdown on exactly which whiskies we've been trying.
Yes.
The sites that we saw, you're probably going to have all the pictures about it,
Yes.
so you might be able to see that now. And overall, just having a good time here in London.
Yep. I will not be coming back to California. I'm going to renounce my citizenship, and I haven't even gotten to Scotland yet. I'm already in love with London. This place, they don't have a place like this to hang out. This place is absolutely spectacular.
Yeah.
Yes, but they have these monkeys that show up here and there every once in a while.
You could do the same.
Because he's
shinier
than mine, man.
Mine's more fuzzy. Yeah. So what were we talking about?
What's his name?
Jed. Oh,
Gabriel.
Who's Gabriel?
Gabriel, say hello.
Hello.
Anyhow, gonna wrap this up, and I'll tell you more about it later. Cheers. Slanjiva. So Jason and I had sort of hoped to somehow find time to do either a recorded or live show together, which didn't exactly work out, but sometimes it's more important to focus on the moment rather than trying to get everything in a photo or a video.
Eddie!
Andrew. Hey.
One of the really cool things about Milroy's is if you go to the back of the bar, you'll see next to the shelves of whiskeys a bookcase, which is a door to a secret passageway to another bar. Now, as you can see in the lower level of Milroy's, it has a sort of atmosphere of a speakeasy, dimly lit, with extremely hospitable staff. While down there, Jason and I sampled side by side a dram of Buffalo Trace bourbon and another of the 2015 Pappy Van Winkle. They also have a small room in the back for private tastings, and while there, Jason and I tasted the Glendula Irish Whiskey, the Flora and Fauna Blair Ethel, 12-year-old, and a 1976 Mortlach Gordon and MacPhail edition. So anyhow, for those who are watching this video, you just saw some shots I took when I was traveling around London with Jason, and he showed me around London, and we're hanging out at Milroy. He saw a little clip there in which I stated that we didn't have the opportunity to get together to do a video. So now I'm back here in the United States. Jason is back home, and so I thought, why not do one over the internet, the old-fashioned way? And we could talk a little bit about hanging out at Milroy. So hopefully this will work all right. Go ahead and say hello, Jason.
So, hey everyone, I'm Jason Whisky Wise. Yeah, it was a pleasure to have you, Erik, over here in London, even though it was only for 2 days, but it was absolutely jam-packed full of things, visiting all the sites, Milroy's, lots of different whiskey shops as well along the way, which was a really great journey.
Yeah, I wish I could have done more shopping. I'm going to manually click this thing back and forth when we're talking, just because I don't know if it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. But yeah, it's kind of a good thing. I was probably limited as to what I could ship back, because I could just go absolutely bonkers shopping over there, because there's nothing like that here. So
yeah, the selection over here is quite crazy, where you've got so many different things you can buy, and that's because Scotland's just literally an hour flight from here, 30 minutes at that too. So compared to the actual supply you get out in the States or in Canada, it's completely, you get a wide variety of things. But the only problem is prices here are a little bit more steeper, and that's because of our tax over here. So I know a lot of people from Germany who are sort of subscribers always tell me things are cheaper out in Germany and Amsterdam. So that's something for another trip. But yeah, it's quite a good selection over here.
Imagine it's a little kind of like buying California wines. I mean, we have a huge abundance of California wines here, and a lot of Californians drink them. I imagine it's pretty similar. So I really, really had a good time hanging out at Milroy's. And as soon as I got back, I quickly started searching on the internet. There is nothing here even remotely like that. There are some wine bars. There's a whiskey bar up in San Francisco, but that's an hour away. So it's not like a place I'm going to be hanging out at night. And even if I went there, there's something unique, I think, to the sort of atmosphere of Milroy's. So would you tell me a little bit about Milroy's for you, what Milroy's is? I mean, you really invited me there, and it seemed like as soon as you were there, a lot of people knew you. You seemed very at home. Why don't you tell me a little bit about how long you've been hanging out at Milroy's and so forth?
So with Milroy's, I've actually just been going there backwards and forwards for almost 2 years now. It's when I started getting into the whiskey adventure and started buying my bottles. One day I went past there, and just by a freak accident, and I went inside, and that's where I met Eddie, the bar manager, and who you got to meet as well. And I think Eddie's name's on that bottle over there, which you got him to sign. It was just something that of a learning curve, and just where you can actually taste the whiskeys, because I was just blind buying bottles, and I was buying them, 10 bottles sometimes every month. And then I decided, you know what, let's go and learn, and let's sit there. And you just sit there, you get other people who are like-minded, who want to learn about whiskey, also want to share their knowledge. And from that, it really takes off into something where you can develop your knowledge instead of just sitting there having a drink and trying to pinpoint these flavors in a whiskey. And that's something that initially, when you start in a whiskey journey, you want to have a bit of guidance, but at the same time, you also want to learn from other people and experiences. And that's what's kind of what I feel whiskey's about. And that environment you get over there, and I'm sure you got to experience how it was. It feels so homely, and that's because almost every second person I feel knows me over there, which if they're not new, they'll definitely know me. And that's because I just go there so frequently. And, when you're sharing these whiskey experiences, like today, I tried a Kurosawa, and that is like the most iconic Japanese whiskey that's discontinued. Something like that. It's just something that you just want to share with people and just show them, exactly what that whiskey is, because some of them are very expensive. Not many people can afford them. and it's just about really just sharing everyone's journey in whiskey together. So yeah, that's about it for me.
That's really neat because it seemed like there were. I mean, it's a teeny weeny place. You kind of, on one hand, you kind of wish it was larger, so then more people could sit down, or whatever. But there's also that sort of intimacy as well of being a small location, and then you got a handful. You got people that who really seem to know each other, and it's just like a little. It's kind of like you want to invite everybody, but on the other hand, you don't want everybody there to come there because it's already super crowded there. So how is that? I mean, is it like that all the time, or?
So today I was actually there, and today's the first day actually being there in almost a week and a bit. But today was actually quite empty, and today is a Wednesday. Sometimes, mainly Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you've got a massive amount of people that just go there because they finish work, they want to try different drams. Today, sometimes I found a lot of people that were just going there for the first time and exploring different styles of whiskey and just really learning and developing. So that a lot is days in the week. But that intimacy, as you mentioned, is what really sort of makes people connect with one another. And that's where you can just bounce off different ideas and really, get to make really solid friendships, but at the same time also dive into these different drams, which you sometimes will never really anticipate jumping into. So for me this year, bourbon and rye is something I'm really looking forward to and developing my knowledge further on this.
So there was the one we had. It was the I think was it 1979 Mortlack that we had.
1976 Mortlack from, I think it was Gordon and MacPhail's.
Right. So it also seemed like a great opportunity because, I mean, 99.9% of the bars around there that do have whiskeys, it's all the same stuff. The mainline stuff is that they also seem like they had a good selection of hard to find stuff, rare stuff that you could, throw down 5, 10, whatever pounds and taste it. So it seemed like a really unique experience for trying stuff that are also difficult to find elsewhere as well.
Yeah, that's one of the really cool things is that sometimes you don't have to pay a fortune to discover something that's really, unique. And sharing like we did that Mortlack, it was just something that it's like not really experiencing just whiskey as it is now, but it's experiencing history and how distillation was done back then, and just showing how it's still available at this point in time. And you're not paying hundreds for it, but you're getting a dram for effectively I think it's 20 quid or something like that. It was really good.
And of course, then we tried the Pappy Van Winkle as well.
Yeah.
I really liked. So I bought a bottle of Milroy's. They do their own bottling. This is a 2008 vintage Ardmore Distillery. It's bottled at 59.3% ABV, and then Eddie was kind enough to sign it, autograph it, and so forth here. But I I tasted with this one there, I believe, if I recall correctly, really liked it. And then, so then I just had to bring one home, and of course, with a little glass here. So, how much do you know about their own, say, like their individual bottlings?
So yeah, the owner of Milroy's is getting into buying casks, and he's also do his own bottlings because it's initially what the owners of Milroy's used to do back in the past is have their own bottlings. Like at the minute, there's a Rosebank that's on the bar, which they found from way back, which the guys used to bottle themselves. So he's trying to bottle these own things, and I believe the one you're trying there is like an 8-year-old. You've also got an 8-year-old Guntalkers. He's got his own blend, which they designed themselves, and there was another one which was another bottling which they've had, a Blair Athol 28-year-old, which sold out, I believe, in the first 3 months of them releasing it on the market. It was only £200, and for a 28-year-old Blair Athol, it was phenomenal stuff. So he's just trying to experiment, do his own bottlings like they did in the past, and bring it now to the public so people can try some of these really interesting whiskeys that you can bottle yourself.
Yeah, one of the things I thought was real cool when we tried the Pappy Van Winkle, there's sort of that secret, doorway through the bookcase, and you go down the dark stairs, which people saw earlier in the video on who were watching this, and then that was down where we had our Pappy Van Winkle down there. So how is that sort of like connected to upstairs, or somewhat run separately, or are they just run separate tabs and join them together, or a separate business? It just seemed unique what's going on down there as well.
Yeah, so the downstairs is basically, it's called the vault, and you have to go through a secret bookcase. But Erik, we're not going to tell everyone exactly where to push. We'll let them go and discover it. But the vault is part of the same company, but they're run separately. So downstairs is more for cocktail bar, upstairs is more for whiskey bar. So downstairs, you're mainly featuring, I think they've got certain cocktails which feature during different times of the week. But at the same time, you can buy whiskies from the bar, whichever the ones they have. Like they had Pappy Van Winkle, which we're very lucky because upstairs sold out Pappy. So it was just like depending on where's which is which. So sometimes you can find some really good gems downstairs as well.
So is Milroy's probably like one of your main places to hang out, or are there some others in the neighborhood as well? I know there's one other one that we walked through real quick. I took a few photos. I was just wondering how common to find something place like that, or is that like a rarity?
It depends on where you go. So I've been doing a lot of different whiskey bars in London. There was I took you to the Whiskey Exchange, which is a shop, not really for drinking, but if you want to try certain things before you buy, they'll let you have that feature. Vintage House, which I took you to we wanted to go to the upstairs to the Soho Whiskey Club, which is another really good place. That's a membership only. And you've got a few other bars like Waxy O'Connor's, which is a sort of Irish bar with a sort of underground theme, which I thought was really cool. And they all feature just Irish whiskies. So different bars. I think there's even one in Hammersmith called Melody Bar. And there's all these different bars. Canary Wharf has Boystell's, which we didn't get to go to. But that place is on a really huge scale. And they've got a few branches all around. So there's some really cool bars in London. But for me, Milroy's is very central. It's more accessible to everything. And I just know everyone there quite well as well, especially the bar manager, Eddie. He knows his stuff. So it's always a good time to sit and learn stuff from the different brands.
That's pretty cool. So one of the things that's kind of interesting, and I'm going to do a whiskey church thing on this, probably this coming Sunday, is how whiskey can sort of be like this unique catalyst to where people with different backgrounds, different history, different interests, different politics, different religion, different ethnicities, different everything else, and yet all of a sudden you're sharing a dram together and you just make this connection. There was that one guy, I have his business card, and he was wearing a kilt. He's from Scotland. And
Kenny. Yeah.
I don't know these guys, and all of a sudden, no, man, we're just passing glasses around and having a really good time. But it was really the one thing we have in common was whiskey.
Yeah, so that's the amazing thing about whiskey is that no matter where you go, what type of dram you're having, people have their opinions. And when they share these opinions together, you get to really understand and sort of connect with people on different levels. So someone may come from Scotland, someone may come from America, anywhere in the world. But there's these certain whiskies that when you talk about it, suddenly it'll click, and that just goes hand in hand with it. So that was something really cool. And Kenny was wearing his kilt and everything. So it was a really fun evening, especially going through some of the islands that we were experimenting with in some of the peated highlands.
So just talk a little bit about your channel. I've really enjoyed your videos. There's so many YouTubers now, and I would like to be able to watch all of them, but I mean, we all have our limited time, how much time you can spend. But there's certain ones that I think people who've really put in the effort to put in quality, not just be informative, but visually qualitative, do well. And I really liked yours. I think visually, I think it's really done. I think your information is conveyed really well. I think you speak really well. I think you have a good presence that communicates really well. So, but you also, you put out a lot of content. I try to as well. So what have you got going on in terms of your current YouTube plans? What do you plan on doing? I know some people are taking a vacation during the summer. What do you got going on with your channel, and where are you looking to go with it?
So what I'm trying to do at the channel is kind of just keep everyone in the loop of what my whiskey journey is, my adventures through exploring different styles of whiskeys. I want to pick up back on some more travel retail, maybe in the future cover some closed distilleries, which I've been starting to collect a few bits and pieces of. Take people on distillery tours, and that's something I think we spoke about together, is sort of just develop a little bit and give people that interaction as if they're actually there, or some people that can't make it, across the pond and go to these distilleries to actually share that experience. But at the same time, reviews, I know I'm pumping out a lot of reviews, almost 5 a week at the minute. That's a lot, but it's something that, if you're really passionate about something, you just put as much effort and you try to put as much information, but at the same time, not too much, because then it can stretch the video very long. So just about getting all the very important factors. So yeah, I think it's just about putting a lot of passion into it and just sharing that with everyone,
Alrighty, so it looks like Jason's camera cut out, unfortunately. I want to thank Jason very much for not only being my tour guide, but for showing me around Milroy's, and for joining me in finishing up this video, which we could share our experience of hanging out and talk a little bit more about whiskeys. I look forward to what Jason is going to continue to provide on his own channel. But this also gives me an opportunity to talk a little bit more about this whiskey. This is 2008
8, Ardmore Distillery, bottled in 2017, so it's 10 to 11 years old. Only 255 bottles. It's at 59.3% alcohol by volume. If you do the math, that means it's probably a single cask. And this one's numbered at, or assume the cask number is 706029. So definitely it is a cask bottling. And Eddie, the manager, was so kind to sign it for me. I really wanted to take just a little bit of Milroy's home with me to remind me every time I taste one the fond experience that I had while visiting and enjoying the whiskeys there, enjoying the fellowship and the company with everybody there. On the nose, it's obviously powerful. I mean, you're smelling and tasting a powerful whiskey, and yet it's also sort of delicate. It has some finesse, light pear, apple, sort of yellow tree fruit notes, but it also has a really nice, just a sort of a waft of smoke and peat running through it. Hints of spice, some vanilla and baking spices. An absolutely delicious whiskey. Really nice evolution. Get something different in the front, in the middle, and towards the finish. I would say some of those nice, sweet tree fruit notes are coming up front. It then develops a little bit of the smoke, peat, little chocolate notes, as well as the spice towards the mid and the back. Really, really, really nice whiskey. If you happen to be in London, you've got to check out Milroy's. It's a must. It's in the Soho district. I found traveling around London to be interesting. It has this sort of webbed network of subways around. But I found within the 2 days I was there, I started to get the gist of how to navigate around London. And I hope to return again on my next trip on my way to Scotland. All right, I want to thank you for tuning in. I'm going to be doing maybe around 20 different videos sharing my journey through Scotland. I went to about 20 different distilleries, as well as went to the Scotch Whisky Experience, took a class there. So I'll be sharing a lot of photography, a lot of videos, and stay tuned. I hope to put about 2 videos out per week, which means it'll take me about 10 and a half to 11 weeks to get this done, just in time for fall, when I will begin my probably like 2-year study systematically going through all the distilleries in Scotland. All right, until next time, Slán Jivá.